Christ YouTube channel here. I want to pose the question today. What should it mean for us, the returning of Jesus Christ? In other words, what should we be doing? How should we be living our lives? How should we be preparing for it? You hear it all over the place, especially with mainstream Christians and modern day Christendom, that Jesus is returning. We're living in the end times. We know this is true. We know this is a real thing. But what I'm witnessing in the world is I'm witnessing Christians trying and attempting to gain wealth. And they're continuing to live their life as if they're going to be here, or they're going to be, in the same situation in 100 years from now. But yet they will say Jesus is returning, but yet they don't live like Jesus is returning. So how should Christians, how should we be living if Jesus Christ is returning? Well, the Bible says that wealth, riches profit nothing in the day of wrath, right? And it also says there's a man that makes himself rich and has nothing, and a man that makes himself poor and has everything. So in these final days, should we be trying to accumulate wealth? Should we be trying to see how much more we can gain? How much more wealth, how much more money, how many more opportunities in life that we can gather and gain into ourselves? Or should we be trying to get by with as little as possible? And this is what I'm proposing. I'm proposing that a true Christian, a true born-again man or woman of God shouldn't be trying to see how much more they can gain and attain with the short time that's left in this world, but rather how much they can live without, how little they can get by with. I think that is the key, and that is the answer to the question that I have today, is how should we be living, knowing that Christ is returning, knowing that we are in the final days, that we should be doing everything we can to get by with as little as possible. Jesus said, labor not for food, right? We know God is going to provide for us. Obviously, you got to have a home to live in. You got to eat. You got to have some things. You've got to pay your electric bill and your water bill and things like this, necessities. And I believe God understands that. But at the same time, if we have a car that works fine, it's okay. Maybe it's a little older. Maybe it's an early 2000 Honda. But it's going to go for another 50,000 miles. I don't think you have to be worrying about trading it in and upgrading and getting the next model, the next higher model. There's things that you need and there's things that you don't need, right? Working to attain wealth, working to gain a higher position in your job, I don't think is what we need. I know it's tempting, and I'm not trying to belittle anybody who has a successful career. I'm not trying to put myself over anybody. I had a very successful career. I made a lot of money, and I got out. I bought me a home in Mexico. It's paid off. Everything I own is paid off, and I live life in a way that I just barely get by every day. I barely get my bills paid. I barely get fed. I barely get everything. But you know what? I'm so much happier not chasing this life of success. I'm so much happier now that I'm not in this, what they call this rat race of life. Trying to outdo my coworkers, trying to make more money than everybody else, trying to get ahead and get ahead and get ahead. I was never wealthy. I just had a good job. I made about $200,000 a year. And, we had the paid off Honda minivan, the paid off Honda car. I wasn't driving Mercedes. I wasn't living above my means. We had a house that was about 26, 27, maybe it was 29,000 square feet. I can't remember exactly now. It's been a couple of years. But, I wasn't living above my means. We just had the things that I feel like God had provided. But God told me it was time to get out. It was time to leave. It was time to try to live life. The Bible says, Jesus said, sell everything you have, give to the poor, take up your cross and follow me. And that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I did. I gave huge amount to the poor. I sold everything I had. I'm living paid off now. Life is a struggle still. But I don't worry because I know that God is always, always, always going to come through for me because I've dedicated my life to Him. That's the way I live my life, in submission to Him, whatever He desires of me. If things are good, if things are bad, whatever He desires is how I live my life, because I truly believe that God is returning soon, that Jesus Christ is coming back soon. It's a promise made throughout the entire Bible. And though it doesn't feel like it sometimes, though it feels like, oh, this is never going to happen, this is dragging on, He was telling them 2,000 years ago that that day would come quickly, right? Well, it's been 2,000 years, so it's so easy to let our morale get down, waiting and waiting and waiting. I'm only 48 years old, and it seems like, oh, when is this ever going to happen? But I am living in the final days. My children are the final generation, the Generation Z. There's not going to be another generation that comes after that. We don't start over at A again. So I listen to the Lord, and I believe what He said, and I believe He is 100% returning. And even if they show us movies that have artificial intelligence in the year 3000, and all these technological advances, even if they try to convince us that the world is going to go on and on and on and all these things, I don't believe it. I know Christ is returning. I believe it's really soon. I believe it's in the next 7 years, 8 years maybe. It could be after that. It could be in the next 15 years. I'm not saying I can't be wrong. I'm just saying these are the things I believe. And I also believe that the Antichrist will be announced here in the next year. Sometime in the next year, possibly, probably. So I'm living my life like I believe it. I'm going all in on this. And if I'm wrong, then, I could just say, God, well, I went all in for you. I'm sorry I was wrong. I can apologize for it, and that's it. Anyways, I think we should be living life like we teach it, like we preach it, like we speak it. We believe Christ is coming. We believe the earth is coming to an end. Why aren't more Christians living like this? We know that the United States is Babylon, right? Why aren't more Christians getting out of Babylon? Why are they wasting their time there, knowing that it's going to fall? How can you have somebody like these politicians intentionally destroying the economies and not understand that maybe you should get out of there to a place that's more second world, more third world, a place that's more free? You've got money now, right? Maybe you have retirement from the government. Maybe you have some money saved up. Maybe you have some assets. Don't you think now is the time to sell out? Now is the time to prepare for what's about to happen? Why wait until it's happening if you lived through 2008 housing crisis, when you have a house and you're trying to unload it, you just can't do it. Yeah, it might be worth some money, but nobody's buying right now. They're waiting to see what happens. And you wait and you wait and you get in this situation. We know it's coming. 100% we know it's coming. Banks have already started collapsing. Why is it the rich banks collapse first? Why is it the banks in Silicon Valley collapse first, right? So those people get their money and they're out of there. They're safe, right? And then what happens is all the other banks are going to collapse at once, and all the poor people aren't going to be able to get their money out. The rich people are free and clear. They're out of there. Biden took care of them. Trump took care of them. That's another thing. Get off this stupid Donald Trump bandwagon. This guy is pro-LGBTQ queer. This guy is pro sleeping with prostitutes. This guy his name might as well be Donald Hump. He signed the largest spending bill in the history of the world, $6.2 trillion. He's definitely a spend, not a fiscal conservative. If you've noticed, the liberal media is even trying to push this guy now. Oh, Donald Trump is got double digits over everyone else. Donald Trump is the Republican. It's funny, it's coming out of liberal places, right? Get off of this Donald Trump bandwagon. You have to understand this guy is part of the establishment. He's part of this whole game. In fact, quit voting altogether. Get out of it altogether. Cash out now before the banks collapse. Cash out now while you can still sell your house. Cash out now while you still have some value in your stocks. Yeah, you're probably afraid to get out of your stocks because you're trying to get back to where you were before they went down, right before COVID or whatever. cash out now if you can cash out. I feel bad for the Generation Z who's struggling. Well, most of them are just playing video games, but like I know, like my sons, 18 and 16, man, they're trying to find jobs, they're trying to work, they're trying to support their mama, that wicked woman that has put her children in the same situation that the black culture has put their children in. All these nasty women leaving, thinking they can do it without a man because they'll just get on welfare. And then what happens? They get some boys, and their boys have to grow up to be professional football players, basketball players, whatever, just to take care of mama, to buy mama a house. And they put the pressure on the young men, right? Which is it's a shame that a mother would do that to her children. But I feel sorry for this Generation Z trying to get ahead in this world and trying to. It's a dog eat dog world, man. Let me tell you, and I feel bad for everybody who's caught up in it. I'm thankful that I was able to get under the wire, if you will, of making money while I could, being young enough to do it, being able to sell everything, be able to buy a house paid off, have my automobile paid off, have everything I own paid off, and being able to live a simple life. This was my plan for my family. My wife didn't want it, I'll be honest. My wife didn't want it. My kids didn't want it. They were drawn back. They were lured back to the United States where they think everything is great there. But they're going to find out. They're going to find out. And if they want to come back, they can. But there's going to be some things they have to agree with. For instance, well, I'm not going to get into that right now. Maybe another video. But anyways, if you believe Christ is coming, if you believe we're in the end times, the message today is live like it. Live like you believe it. God bless.